About a month into a new year, statistically, is when most people have given up on something really important that they intended to accomplish. So I want to have a real talk about failure and its impact on your relationships. And I want to give you a coaching tool you can use to get yourself going again. Rockline, and I'm on a mission to eradicate loneliness. And what happens when we set an intention to do something and it's a really important thing, it's usually something we've tried to do a number of times and we're like, this time I'm gonna succeed. And then we don't. Our self-esteem goes down, our confidence goes down, and we either withdraw in our relationships or we lash out in our relationships. That's the impact of failure. Failure is a painful thing to experience for many people, and it really causes suffering internally that impacts their relationships. So it's kind of a big deal, and we need to deal with it. So I want to give you a great coaching tool to use on yourself. So the coaching relationship is really one of the coach helping the client find the answers within themselves to get themselves moving forward. I don't have your answers, you have your answers. So having really good questions to ask is really important for a coach. And one of my favorite ones is, here's the thing you want right now. When in the past have you succeeded at something similar? Now, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It could be, roughly similar. I have never met somebody ever who couldn't point to some success in their past, which is a gold mine of information, because you succeeded at that in the past because of certain conditions or ways you set yourself up for success. And you can take those and you can ask yourself, how do I take what was going on then and bring it into this new scenario, creating some of the same similar conditions so that I can succeed now. Like an example would be, let's say right now, you really just want to get more movement into your everyday. You want to move your body more, which is great for all of us. But you're like, I don't understand. How am I not able to do this? Well, look back and let's say you used to be a runner. And you're like, how did I do that? Every single day I got up and I ran. What was going on? Maybe you had a running buddy, and then you can be like, okay, that worked for me now. I need to get a running buddy. Maybe you were training for something and you can say, okay, that worked then. What if I sign up for a race now? Or it might not be running, you want to do whatever, you know what I mean? Maybe you did it at a certain time every day. Could you take that information and put it into practice now? You have all of this knowledge about what works for you. And you can look in the past at your success and move it here. The reason you want the thing that you want right now is probably because you're expecting it to make you feel a certain way. And that may be because you know that. You have had that feeling. You succeeded at something and you got that feeling and you want it again. That's how I know you have success in your past. So here's one that I'm struggling with, and I've struggled with it for a long time. And so I'm using the same coaching skill on myself. In my mind, I think I want to be someone who gets up at 6. I want to get up with enough time before I have responsibilities as a mom to, meditate, journal, stretch. I don't know. It's just something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I've obviously not been seriously committed to it because I haven't made it happen. So I have to ask myself, when did I succeed at this in the past? Well, there was a 4-year period of time when I got up at 5:50 a.m. And it was because one of my sons had to get on a bus to go across town to his school. So what was happening then? Number one, I had an external bell schedule I had to keep myself to. So it was enforced from outside. Number two, I used to put myself to bed with enough time to have 8 hours of sleep. Number three, my identity was tied to being a reliable mom who will get you where you need to go. Probably a little bit too, I didn't want to drive myself all the way across town instead of the bus. So I have all these conditions that I can try to use over here. Another time that I used to get up really early was when I was a math teacher. And I loved getting there before all the other teachers because my brain works better in the mornings. So way before the bell schedule, I was up and at school. Again, what was working there? One, I had a bell schedule, so I had to get there on time. Two, I was putting myself to bed on time to get 8 hours of sleep. And three, I had my identity tied to being there, being available, knowing that kids could come and find me before the bell started in the morning or the bell rang in the morning to get help with math or whatever. So what can I take over here? If you are familiar with James Clear, he's got a really famous book, Atomic Habits. It's like a crazy bestseller for years and years and years. But he talks about how you will have the most success when you tie your habits to your identity. So I can ask myself, with the information looking in my past, I can bring it forward and say, okay, am I getting myself to bed early enough? Can I impose the same feeling of an external schedule, or even create somehow an external schedule that gets me there? You know, like maybe that's like, I have an accountability buddy who's going to call me or text me and I'm supposed to respond back. Maybe it's that I'm going to actually get myself physically to a gym to meet somebody. Like, what can I do to set myself up for that success? And how do I tie my identity to somebody who is a early morning riser, or always meditates before work, or makes time for herself before everybody else needs her? Those are some of the conditions I can try to set up here, and I can see because they came from the success in my past. Underneath all of this is a fundamental skill that we all have to have if we want to succeed at something. It's the basis for all of this, and that is the ability to keep your promise to yourself, the ability to follow through on what you said you would do. If you're stuck right now, if you're giving up on something you intended to do, yet again, especially if you're feeling really disappointed and defeated, all that hope, juicy fun, like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing, my life's gonna change, I'm gonna become that person who does that, and that's all kind of left you, it's probably because you have not developed this skill, or you just haven't exercised the muscle in a while. And that's the most important thing for you going forward, is that ability to follow through. If you look back here at the thing you succeeded at, I promise you what you did was you kept your promise to yourself over and over and over. This is why I just created a program for help simply with the follow through muscle, with the skill of keeping promises to yourself. Because every single time I am working with a client and they are struggling or stuck or can't get something to happen, this is why. This just needs a little bit of reinforcement. Everybody is capable of it. So this is a 10-week coaching program. Every single week we have a Zoom call where I will introduce a habit. And this is gonna be a tiny little habit, less than 2 minutes. So small that it's easy to succeed at it. All you have to do is do it every single day. Then the next week, we add another habit. So at the end, after 10 weeks, you're gonna have 5 2-minute habits. So you can do them all in less than 10 minutes for an evening routine, and 5 habits that take less than 10 minutes for your morning routine. And all of these habits are science-backed, good for you, self-care habits. But they're just the vehicle, honestly, because at the end, you will have 10 weeks of evidence that you keep your promises to yourself, that you follow through. That's the most important thing here, is that you develop this belief in yourself, this trust in yourself, so that you can go do the thing right now you probably just gave up on. You have to practice the following through first. So you'll get a PDF with your new habit, you'll get a tracker. We have a weekly Zoom call. The Zoom call is really important because it'll be recorded, but it's for training, but also support, right? What's going wrong? What are your obstacles? How can we remove those? It's good coaching so that you can keep moving forward. And I want you to feel like I'm there with you for the whole entire 10 weeks. At the end of those 10 weeks, you're gonna be able to do anything. You have the one thing you need. You keep your promises to yourself. And you've been practicing it for 10 weeks straight. So if you're interested in that program, please go to the link for more information and to join us. We start on February 12th. And this is everything. Not only to go do that thing that you set your intention for this year that you might be giving up on already. You'll be able to do that thing. When you do that thing and you have the ability to keep your promises to yourself, you internally feel really good. You feel good about yourself. You're proud of yourself. You're inspired. When you feel like that, you tend to engage more in your relationships. You show up. You feel healthy and mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, and open and generous of heart. And that is how you stay connected to the people in your life. And that's kind of the most important thing that we have in this human existence is our relationships with each other. So make sure you join us. We're starting on the 12th, and I am excited to be with you on this journey of keeping your promises to yourself so you can show up for the people in your life and show up for yourself.